Now for this one, we have been given a mixed fraction. We have been given a mixed fraction. We have 1 a whole number, 9 over 16. We have 1 a whole number, our numerator 9 and our denominator 16. When you are given a mixed fraction, what you're supposed to do is to convert, change this mixed fraction into an improper fraction by multiplying 1 times 16 plus the numerator 9 divided by 16. So if you multiply 1 times 16, you are going to get 16. Add a 9, we are getting 25 over 16. Now from here, what are we supposed to do? We know that when you are given a fraction, find the square root of the numerator on its own and the square root of the what? Denominator. So we have the square root of the numerator divided by the square root of the denominator. Those two are perfect square numbers. We know that when we multiply 5 by itself twice, we are going to get a 25. And when we multiply 4 by itself twice, we are going to get a 16. So our answer is 5 over 4. But we cannot leave it in this form where we have an improper fraction, where the number on top is greater or bigger than the number at the bottom. So we are supposed to divide 4 into 5, which is going to give us 1 a whole number. Remainder what? 1, which will be our numerator, over what? Over 4. So 4 into 5 is giving us 1 a whole number. If you subtract 5 minus 4, you are going to remain with a 1 over 4, our denominator. That is our answer. Let's go to the last question. Our last question is find the square root of 20.25. Find the square root of 20.25. Now, you're supposed to know that when you're given a decimal number, this 20 is a whole number, and the digits 2 and 5 after the decimal point is the fractional part. So this 20 is a whole number. The digits after the decimal point, those two, are the fractional part. The place value of these two is a tenth, meaning over 10, and the place value of this 5 is a hundredth, over 100, hundredth with a th at the end. So it's like we are having 20, a whole number, 25 over 100. Now, when you multiply 20 times 100, what are you going to get? We'll get a 2000. Add a 25, you get a 2025. So 20.25 is equals to 2025 over what? Over 100. So we have the square root 2025 over 100. When you are given a fraction, what are you supposed to do? Find the square root of the numerator on its own and the square root of the denominator. So it will be the square root of the numerator divided by the square root of what? The denominator. Now when you look at 100, everyone must know by now that 100 is a perfect square number. When you multiply 10 by itself twice, what are you going to get? 100. Now when we look at 2025, we don't know whether it is a perfect square number or not. So what are we going to do? Let's work out. Let's try to find out. So we use the table. Are we going to use 2? No. Why? Because 5 is an odd number. Meaning when we divide 2 into 2025, we are going to leave or have a remainder. So we'll go to the next prime number, which is 3. 3 into 2025 will give us 675. 3 into 675 is giving us 225. 3 into 225 is giving me 75. 3 into 75 is giving us 25. Are we going to use 3? No, we are going to have the remainder. We go to the next prime number. 5 into 25 is 5. 5 into 5 is what? 1. Then we multiply 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 5 times 5 to give us 2025. From there, what are we going to do? Pair them. We'll pair them. So when we pair them, they'll look like that. We'll have 3 times 3 times 5 and 3 times 3 times 5. 3 times 3 will give us 9. 9 times 5 will give us 45. So we have 45 times 45 giving us 2025. Therefore, 2025 is a perfect square number. If you raise 45 to the power 2, what are we going to get? 2045. So we are going to substitute. To substitute is to replace. Where there's 2025, we'll replace a 45 squared. We'll replace a 45 squared. Now, by now everyone knows that this symbol, square root, means power what? Power half. When we put a power half and the square 2, using the index of an index, when we multiply 2 times half, what are we going to get? A 1. So 45 to the power 1 is giving us 45. 10 to the power 1 is giving us what? 10. Are we going to leave it as an improper fraction? No. We are going to divide. So we are going to divide 10 into 45. We'll have the whole number 4. And then we'll remain with a 5 over 10. Now 5 over 10 taken to its lowest terms is the same as saying 5 into 5, 1. 5 into 10, 2. So when we take 5 over 10 to its lowest terms, we are getting a half. So 4, 1 over 2 is our number. 10 into 45 is 4, a whole number. 1 over 2 or 1 and a half. Or if you want, you can express it as a decimal number where you say 10 into 45 is 4. If you multiply 10 times 4, you get a 40. Take away 40 from 45, you remain with a 5. Add the 0 there. 10 into 50 will give us a 5. So 10 into 45 is giving us 4.5. So this is our first lesson for today. We have looked at perfect square numbers, how to determine perfect square numbers. We know that you are supposed to use prime numbers. A prime number is a number where only 1 and the number itself are factors. The square root, when you are given a square root of n, you are looking at a number which when squared yields n. And then when you are given fractions, you have to get the square root of the numerator and the square root of the denominator. When you are given a mixed fraction, convert it into an improper fraction, get the square root of the numerator and the square root of the denominator. When you are given a mixed or a decimal number, you are supposed to change the decimal into a common fraction, and then you get the square root of the numerator and the square root of the denominator. I hope that the lesson has been made simple. We'll go to the exercise. Our exercise is saying determine whether the following are perfect square numbers. We have A 100, B 72, and C 441. So we are going to use prime numbers to determine. You can either use the table method or the tree method. Your answer will still be the same. Then question 2, we are saying find the square root of A. We have 169, and B we have 676. you have to take note that when you are looking at square root, you have to introduce the power what? Half. Question 3, we have evaluate the following. We have a, the square root of 25 over 64. So you have to get the square root of the numerator on its own and the square root of the denominator and simplify. Then we have b, we have the square root of 8, a whole number, 1 over 36. What you're supposed to do, convert, change that mixed fraction into an improper fraction. Get the square root of the numerator and the square root of the denominator. Then we have c, the square root of 72.25. We know that 72 is a whole number. The fractional part is 2 and 5. So change that decimal number into a mixed, into an improper fraction, and then find the numerator of the, find the square root of the numerator and the square root of the denominator. I hope to see your solutions. So we are here to make mathematics simple. Hoping to see you next time.